Yes, guys, welcome back to the Cannon podcast. I'm on my AirPods. I need to go on my phone. Hi, guys, welcome back to the Cannon podcast. How you doing? It is a solo instant reaction this evening. No George, unfortunately, as he couldn't be here. He's at work evening. Yes, Arsenal 3, Preston 0. It's so nice to watch a game of football where we win and we play well and there's no refereeing to talk about and there's some brilliant performances and we feel like we showed a good face and we feel like we've shown who we are. We've shown who we are. It's really important in these situations, I think, when the players announce themselves like that, not to overhype them. So I think I think he should aim for maybe top 4 in the Ballon d'Or next year. It could be a little bit conservative, maybe conservative. Maybe could push for top 3. It depends how sort of Vinny and Jude do, but sort of maybe up there. What a performance from Ethan Nwaneri, joking aside. Absolutely, yeah, incredible performance. It feels like we're sort of back to peak Arsene Wenger, like players announcing themselves in the Carabao Cup or the Carling Cup or whatever it was called, the Capital One Cup at one point, I think it was called. Yeah, so nice, so nice. We'll get into his game in sort of more detail, but that's one of the huge headlines from this evening. But we're through. We are through. I don't know when the draw actually is. But yeah, thank you all so much for being here. It's as I say, a solo instant reaction this evening. So thank you all for being here. Yeah, we're gonna have fun. We're gonna chat. So yeah, headlines from the game. Really nice to, as I say, get a win. Get what, not necessarily an easy win. Probably maybe one of the easiest wins so far this season, but you never want to say an easy win. But I will say I didn't think Preston were good at all. I can't lie. I thought Preston were really shaky. And I did feel if this game had gone in a different way, I think I would have been frustrated at how we didn't punish that. I felt as though their lines, every time Jesus was dropping out, they were coming with us. If we moved the ball, they'd jump out. They were moving. If you move the ball a little bit, they jump, 3-4 meters. And yeah, I really didn't rate them at all. They seemed to sort of calm down and come into shape in the second half, and that's what I think we weirdly seem to look better. But yeah, I think in the first half, the sort of opening 20 minutes, there was a bit of sort of caginess. There was a lot of players. We'll come on to Jesus and Sterling and their performances. There was a lot of players who I think were trying to prove themselves in that first sort of 20 minutes. Martin and so on. I'll do a play by player, so we'll go through it in that way in a second. But yeah, the first 20 minutes were like that, and then obviously we got the goal. I can't remember how the first goal even happened. I'm so blinded by the Ethan Nwaneri performance. What was the first goal? I'm going senile, lads. Someone in the chat, let me know. First goal. Oh, it was Jesus, of course. Jesus in a very, very un-Jesus fashion, I would say. An instinctive finish into the corner, which was really nice from Jesus. Credit to him for getting shooting boots back on. Yeah, and then the game carried on. The second goal was from Nwaneri. Yeah, that goal, he has scored that. If you just go watch him for England, he's scored that goal 7, 8 times for the England youth teams, probably mostly for like the U16s and U15s. It's just that one touch into the corner. It's not even a particularly harsh shot. It's feathered. It's like it's kind of Havertzy, and it's just like whip. It's like into the corner, no problem. It's so nice. It's so nice, and it's so the fact he does it over and over again. It's something he works on. It's consistent, and the space we'll come on to it. But it was a fantastic goal. And then finally, the whip from the half space from Jakub Kiwior for a Kai Havertz header. I absolutely loved. Yeah, really nice sort of end to the game. I couldn't believe Sterling couldn't score at the end. Felt like the football gods were against him. But yeah, not loads in this sort of the overall shape of the game. I feel like these games are always about individuals. They're always about looking at individuals and seeing what we can learn. A couple of things maybe which we'll come to, but yeah, that's sort of all I take away from headlines in that sense. So let's go through player by player. Tommy Setford, let me know what you thought in the chat. I thought Setford, I think Billy Carpenter, I think it is, who works with Scott Willis on Cannon Stats, and we'll obviously come to the stats. I think the field salt numbers are going to be quite good. He said, like, sometimes with the keeper, you just get a vibe, and I got a really good vibe off Tommy Setford. There was a couple of moments. There was one free kick from wide where I felt he got caught in no man's land. But other than that, and maybe on the corners like a little bit, but he's an 18-year-old goalkeeper. That's going to happen. I thought the stuff that we're probably really looking for, the stuff that sort of separates you as a goalkeeper in that sense, because there's a lot of brilliant shot stoppers and there's a lot of brilliant keepers, who can have the fundamentals of controlling the box or cross claim or whatever. But can you hold it? Do you back yourself? Have you got the vibe and the mentality to play for Arsenal? And I think he does. Just having a look at him on the first sort of go, he looks like he rates himself. You could see the players were using him as a reference. There was a lot of balls back to him. There was a lot of nice stuff with Setford. Look, you don't want to overrate 90 minutes in a Carabao Cup game, but I really, I feel like with keepers, it's so important. It's something Ben White actually said in the interview he did with Ben Foster. Two Bens, got confused. Is he said about Raya, the first thing he said was about how calm you feel around him. And that's so important what you transmit. We're watching it in a very removed sense. We're watching it on the TV unless you were at the game. We're watching in a very removed sense, in a very sort of in a distance sense. On the pitch, it really matters for the players, and I get the sense that they trusted him. The ball kept going back to him. The distances weren't. Sometimes I think you can see how much a team trusts a goalkeeper by how closed in they are in a build-up, and they seem to expand. There's a couple of Hollywood balls out, and I thought, you know what, mate, you are on TV. It's your Arsenal debut. Show us, yeah, absolutely, mate. Show us. I'm okay with a couple of Hollywood balls. Are they the right decision? Not necessarily, but you're 18. Like, show us something. And he's got the personality, I think, to play for Arsenal. So I'm really, really pleased with that. Timber I thought was great, looked really good. Look composed, look sharp. It's a nothing game for him. He coasted through that. Ditto Saliba, absolutely nothing to talk about. He was brilliant. What do you say with Saliba? Kivior. Wow, I thought Kivior had a brilliant evening. And look, I'm someone who thinks Kivior's our 6th, 7th choice defender, but I thought he was brilliant this evening. I thought he looked really composed. He gave a ball away in the second half, which is a shame. He's done that a few times, but I like the personality he's starting to show a little bit more. Some of the balls over the top. There was a ball over to Martinelli, which is really, really nice. I think I can see him fighting for his Arsenal career a little bit more than he used to. I think there was a sort of period where he was just sort of there. And now I feel like he's coming into the team and he's going like, okay, here I am. I'm imposing myself. I've arrived. Some nice receptions, some nice balls through the middle. I think playing centrally as well really helps him. It really helps him. And I do feel sorry for Kivior because he's been put out of position in games that maybe don't suit him because of injuries, and he's not always been there. We've had, Gabriel and Saliba, we talk about players and we kind of remove them from their context. Or Kivior didn't make it at Arsenal. Well, he had the best centre-back partnership in the league ahead of him. So, it's very difficult for him to come into that. And I thought he did really well this evening. Does that make his channel defending perfect? Does that mean I'm not worried about him, in other areas? No. But 2 assists this evening, that whip, I think the personality he's showing, it's really good. And we should never, I think sometimes as fans, we sort of get into it, or, maybe just me as content creators, we get into these things of like, I've written off a player, so they can't have a good game. I've not written him off at all. I think he's a good player who's probably our 6th or 7th defender, as I say, but that tells you the level we're at in terms of our defenders. And I'm hopeful he can contribute throughout the evening. And we'll come to Aiden Heaven in a minute. I thought he was great. Sorry, I'm a bit sniffly. I have a cold. What was going to say? Left back was Zinchenko. Yep. Did we learn anything interesting from Zinchenko this evening? Not particularly. I'm not particularly bothered by Zinchenko's performance. He was fine. It was against Preston. I don't think we learned anything new. Then nice of Alex's girlfriend for joining him on this instant reaction. Just spotted that in the chat. What does that mean? Do I look like my girlfriend this evening or something? Anyway, who else was there? Jorginho, I thought had a brilliant game, but again, that's what we expect from an experienced international, to come in, to set the tempo, to receive off the back line, to play it forward, some nice balls over the top, some nice releases in behind for Sterling, which didn't quite work out, which we'll come to in a second, but I thought he had a really nice game. Left 8 was Marino. Yeah, Marino was fine. I thought he looks, with a bit more space and a bit more time, he just looks so dominant. He's so dominant. Oh, it's because I'm alone. Yes. Because I'm sad and alone. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I thought Marino had a good evening. He didn't particularly stand out to me. He didn't have a lot of time on the ball, but he's never going to be the player that you look at and go, wow, look at all these on-ball actions. Look at that, release pass in, whatever. It's quick stuff, as George says. The touch economy, as George would say, is really good. And I think we'll come to Martinelli in a second, but I think it's more about the impact. Thank you, guys. You're saying you love me in the chat. Love you all. Yes. Ethan Nwaneri. The only thing I have on Nwaneri, and I've put in the chat, I put a poll in the chat, which was who's man of the match, and your options were, where is it? Your options were Nwaneri, Ethan Nwaneri, number 53, and Nwaneri E. And Ethan Nwaneri is winning at 40%, closely followed by Nwaneri on 35%. Number 53 is at 25%. 20%, and Nwaneri E is at 5%. I don't know why that's lagging behind so far. But he was brilliant. Look, the only thing I'd say is I think sometimes in attacking situations, I think he gets dragged to the ball. There was a few moments where, and this is partly the situation he's in. If he was in a consistent, if Saka was there, Martinelli's there, Havertz is there, and he knows exactly what he's getting, I think it might be a different thing. But he's getting dragged to the ball a little bit. That's the only thing I'd say. And he's not necessarily thinking a couple of sort of chess steps ahead as an Ødegaard can do. But he's 17. He's 17. That's going to happen. You can see how much he wants the ball. He wants to be on it. He wants to touch it. He wants to feel it. He wants to be part of it. But look, the talent is undeniable, guys. The talent is absolutely undeniable. The way he brushes the ball, the space he creates with his touches, the one-touch, two-touch stuff, the physical capacity, the ability to manipulate it, the personality on the ball, the positivity. What other buzzwords do you want? He's just brilliant. Like, I haven't watched. Hang on, let me phrase this correctly. I haven't watched the football games of every 17-year-old in the country. Thank you. But what other 17-year-old in the? I need to be careful. What 17-year-olds in the country, in regards to football, are as good as him? Mikey Moore, maybe. But even then, I didn't think he had a particularly good night at the weekend. I just thought he was absolutely. He's extraordinary. And you can see the importance he has. He comes in like he's a 22-year-old signing. And you can see the importance he has in the team by how much the ball goes to him, how much people trust him in the final third. To, like, Jesus will knock him a ball and be like, you're the guy who's going to, once I get over into the final third, I trust you to go, I'm going to get that ball back from you. And he does every single time, or he makes the right pass, or he invents something. And yeah, he's just so good. He's so good. We'll come back to him a little bit later as well, I'm sure. Forward areas. Who was on the right-hand side? Sterling. Okay, so the issue with Sterling, and I'm going to get the tactics board out. He says, doing this on the fly in front of 1,000 people. I'm going to get the tactics board out because my issue with Sterling, his best work comes in these areas, within the 18-yard box. And I would say maybe even slightly further in this area, what is he, 30? In this area, I'm hoping you can all see this, he cooks. You see him when we saw probably maybe his best action for Arsenal was in that period where he sort of was gliding through here, as in that was this evening, I think, was gliding through here and he got to the box. He had a nice moment in here, but it's all either within the width of the box or within, I'd say even further, maybe in the width of the 6-yard box. Maybe that's a little bit harsh in these sorts of zones, especially on the left. When he's here, what he does, and it really frustrates me, is the defender will be here and he'll receive the ball. And what Saka does is he delays. So he's got it. He's delaying. And the defender's coming towards him and he's still delaying. And then he makes the action inside. Sterling is already too narrow often when he receives it. And then he'll go straight to the man and close himself down. The whole game slows down and he'll often just play it back. Saka gives himself that space, that time to receive the ball out wide, take it on his left, take you here, run, then force the action to set himself and have some time. And Sterling is A, too narrow when he gets it, and B, he jumps in too soon. It's really frustrating, and I don't like him on the right. I really don't, because he's not, and obviously he's naturally right-footed as well, so he doesn't have that strength to come inside necessarily. I don't think he has the sort of strength in his body. he's got something more when he can carry inside here, and that's where I think he's at his best. But that's not what our left winger does. And so for me, it's more about his positioning. He can control this and then go on the outside. It's really frustrating. He's also, for me, sorry about this, I'm not very well. He's also, for me, frustratingly selfish in the same way Jesus was. They're both trying to get in the same spaces and the same angles. And you could see there was like 3 moments this evening where one shot and it hit the other. I think it was one for Jesus at the end, but I think 2 for Sterling in the first half, where he's writhing in and Jesus is trying to get the back post and it hits him, or he runs into him, or they get confused about who's going to have a shot. And they're playing with this selfishness of teenagers trying to prove themselves. And the reason those teenagers have gotten into this team under Mikel Arteta is because in every action they do the right thing. They pick up the ball, they go, I'm going to spread it out wide because that's the best next action. Aiden Heaven, perfect example. He's jumping up and he's doing the Gabriel thing where he comes up into the halfway line and is aggressive and wins the ball, and then he's playing it short. He's not trying to go on a hero ball run. Ethan Waneri, the talent's there, but Miles Lewis-Skelly, the confidence, he's just recycling it. He's assured. He remains an option out wide, and we can just see the technicality. We need to constantly see this sort of. You don't need to change the world in every action. I think that's what Jesus and Sterling try to do, because they're trying to find their personality and their rhythm and their status in this team. It's a status anxiety. Jesus, no, I get it for both of them. I was going to say, I get it for Jesus. And this is not to say that Sterling had a horrendous game. I just think, and he got better through the game because I think he went on the left. But there's a really frustrating aspect to his game that I think if he was a Reece Nelson, or if he was a player that we'd signed, he's 23, and we're going to spend some time or whatever, like I'd do that. But because he's a lone win now type player, I am going to be a bit harsher. He's also worked with Mikel before. I wouldn't be surprised if Mikel's in, and again, I don't want to go too hard in on Sterling because I think it was actually his best game in an Arsenal shirt. It's just we know he's better. I know he's better than this. And I bet Arteta probably is sat there going, there's a lot of bad habits you picked up. And it's even just things like attacking the box when you just need to recycle. And I'm often in this channel saying, I want that balance between chaos and order to sort of push a little bit over further to chaos. Maybe he is that, but it's just a little bit too far, and I'm a hard man to please. Jesus was similar. I didn't think as much of a culprit. I thought he did well. I was really happy with the sort of instinctive finish, and good for him that he managed to do that. And then who else was in our attack? Sterling and Jesus. Jesus Christ, my memory's going. Who did we have? Oh, Martinelli, of course. Yeah, Martinelli. I think Martinelli had an okay evening. I think I'm kind of split between 2 things with Martinelli. I feel like he's either taking on too much for himself in every action, or he's being asked to do too much. And those things are very close. It's like the sort of the horseshoe thing. They're very close, but they are separated, and there's this whole spectrum. Sometimes I'm looking at him going, mate, he's being asked to take on 3 players there. We need to support him with Calafiori. We need Marino out there. Like, let's support him. Like, and this is what George and I say all the time on the podcast. And George is very much like, no, he needs to be, well, it's not entirely what he's saying, but, he needs to be supported. He's on that side of the argument. And I agree, he does need to be supported, but he's also making some mad actions in his own individual decision-making. He's taking on 5, 6 men, 2, 3 men at a time. And I'm going, mate, just recycle, just go back. It's that same, I've got to prove myself thing. George and I are going to have a conversation at some point about how to properly improve Martinelli and where I think the position can be improved. And this evening was an example. I just think without Saka, I wanted to see a level from Martinelli that I didn't see. Not that he had a particularly bad game. He wasn't terrible. He's very threatening. He got us into the box a few times. He progresses us up the pitch, loads and loads of stuff. But all the same Martinelli stuff I'm still seeing. And up against Preston, I want to see something else. You know what I mean? So it's that sort of thing. Let's come to the subs before I come to all your super chats. Thank you all so much for them as well. Lewis-Skelly I thought was great. No complaints with him. Yeah, but what a personality. Thomas Partey and Kai Havertz coming on in the second half. It felt like a very Mikel game in that sense of being like, seeing Saka come on. And I appreciate it because he's had the injury. You might want to sort of, I think it's yeah, it's probably good for him. But yeah, I thought Partey had a fine game. Was pretty quiet. Kai Havertz had a really nice game, just in terms of his actions, the weight on his pass, the ghosting into the box, the unselfishness for the Sterling moment. He just feels like he's arrived in this team, hasn't he? He just feels like he's in that Ben White, Gabriel category for me now. Just like he just knows he's in the team, and he doesn't need to rush every action. He doesn't need to change the world with every game. He knows he has the trust of the manager, so he comes on, does the right thing, stands in the right place, and wins us the game. In certain aspects. So I loved him. Aiden Heaven, as I say, I thought was brilliant in terms of his aggression. I thought he was really composed and calm on the ball. He looks physically like he's built himself up, and even from pre-season, there seems like a different energy to him physically. So yeah, I was really pleased with him. And finally, Saka. Yeah, really important minutes in the tank for Saka. Right, that was sarcasm for you listening on the audio. No, he needed minutes. He probably did need minutes, and they definitely know more than me, even though I'm terrified. Prathu, thank you so much. Ethan and MLS are comfortable on the ball, but only first team involvement will improve their off-ball movements. Jorginho was amazing directing moves. Yeah, I think in nights like this, this is why I'm cautious about moving both Jorginho and Partey on. You need that blend of youth and experience, and I think you can. Someone like a Declan Rice could come in and do that, but he's too important to just do that job where he's like the player who comes in and anchors the team, and I'm not like this and get us through. Yeah, I thought Jorginho had a nice night. Yeah, looked really, really composed, really clean, really, really smooth on the ball. No complaints at all. Yeah, I did. Yeah, on Ethan, I think some of his movement in the final third, I think, can be coached a little bit better. Just some of his arrivals. He actually, on the last line, he has some really nice actions, but sometimes he delays it, and I feel like you can make that run in there, which creates some space or whatever. It's less of the coached automations that we're just used to watching with Saka. Oh, you sees the ball there, he's going to play that pass, then Ben White runs around it. You just get that sense of it, right? And he hasn't quite got that, but he's 17. Just to repeat, he's 17, so I'm not worried at all. That will come. Yared says MLS is a SH1T. Hauser, love him. He really is. And I love that personality, and you can see it in. This has been my whole thing around Kivior. I don't mind a quiet personality as long as it shows on the pitch, and you can see in all of the Aiden Heavens and the Josh Nichols and the Waneris and the Setfords and all these guys, they seem ready to play. They seem capable and open to being like, okay, yeah, I'm going to come into this team. I'm not scared, and I could see Setford telling Kivior where to stand and Saliba where to stand. I'm not going to be deferential. I'm part of this as much as you guys are. I'm okay. I have my role. You have your role. Sure, but we're all in the same thing together, and I love that attitude. It's really important for me. Dane, my first super chat. Thank you, Dane. Dane Howarth. How good was Kivior's cross for Havertz, mate? Absolutely gorgeous. He was auditioning for the left 8 role. But the thing is, if you go back and watch him for Poland, when he's central and for Spezia, he can play those balls even from deeper, those really lovely whip balls. He can step out a little bit into certain areas. I don't know if you can hear my housemates singing. But he does that stuff. He really is like he has a quality on the left when he's got some time and space. But if you imagine yourself on at left back, you don't have the same options. You're often forced inside because there's someone straight in your sights, usually pressing you, right? And he has a bit more space and time as a centre back where he can do that. He can step onto the ball. He can sort of force play a little bit more. So, yeah, I never want to write anyone off. I don't think he's good enough for Arsenal long term. I think there's a number of players ahead of him in his position. Like, honestly, it says something that Kivior's like 7th or 8th choice for me to be stood there when the ball goes over him like on Sunday against Salah. I'd prefer White, Calafiori, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, maybe Rice. Do you know what I mean? But that says something of the strength and depth we have in the squad. So it's not. I'm not having a go at Kivior. I think it's a sign of how good we are. Let's come to as many questions and statements. Could be a statement, could be a question, as we can in the last 5 minutes here. Thank you so much for being here. Over 1,000 of you watching me solo live on a Preston instant reaction, which is very humbling. So thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe to the Kind of Podcast. Make sure you like the video. We're here for half an hour after every game, usually with more of us. George couldn't be here because he's a work thing. yeah, let's come to some questions and statements. Get them in as much as you can. Vlevlad. Does Mikel go strong if we get Liverpool, for example, the next round? I think Mikel will always go strong in the Cups to start. And you should, by the way. If I was a manager, and I will be, obviously, when I do my pro license, I think you have to go strong in the Cups. Teams are so well prepared. And it's such a banana skin because these are the biggest games of their seasons. They pack everyone into Deepdale. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is a big night for them. You have to go strong. And people always say, oh, stronger than I thought. This isn't Wenger era. Like, this is, teams are prepped. They've, championship clubs have got set piece coach. Like, this is a different era of football. You can still beat those teams, but you got to prep more, is what I'd say. And so you got to go stronger. And this is my preferred way of doing it. You start strong, and then you blend in youth and experience, and you deal with situations. Ultimately, you can't think ahead and go, we'll definitely play these people in that situation. You don't know. You just have to see how they respond to the training, see where they're at, see where their physical data is at. But yeah, I think he will go strong. Andre says, now, Waneri being switched out early might be a good sign that he'll play again soon. Yeah, potentially. I did think with him going off, like, it's quite a good sign probably for the weekend. I don't know. I don't think he'll start. I think if Mikel hasn't started him in Odegaard's absence, up to now against Southampton and Leicester, I don't know what I don't know why he'd start him against Newcastle unless it's a really specific tactical thing. I don't know. But yeah, I was really, really pleased with his performance, obviously, this evening. Would you, says Kevin, ever get into refereeing? Take the PGMO out from the inside, maybe. I think I have the temperament for refereeing. Genuinely, I think I can take, as you guys have probably noticed, I can take a lot of flack. I just think, it just doesn't interest me particularly. It's just like, I don't want to know. The refs are supporting the match, and I want to be like in it. Do you know what I mean? I want to be playing or deciding or coaching or talking about. You want to be sort of active in it. And if I want the ideal for me is the referees to be silent and not noticed and not involved and not making decisions, and they just do their job and they go home. And that's not my engagement in football particularly. I'm also not fit enough to do the ref, and I also have too much hair. Frankly, absolutely true. I take back my comment where I said you needed to let Ethan finish his GCSEs, Alex. The kid is magic. He is magic. I think he has done his GCSEs. He's 17. He's not even 18 till like next April. It's absolutely mad. It really is. Humphrey Reloaded. Is there a real future where Waneri and Odegaard can both be first choice midfielders? I don't think a future anytime soon. But I think there's certain games. I think there were games, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but I think there was games where we played both Vieira and Odegaard in the 8. So I don't think he's against it. I think Ethan, he's a willing presser. He's very diligent off the ball, but against some big space players, Onana, the Onanas of the world, the Rodris, whoever's of the world, like, I wouldn't do that. It would depend on the game. Potentially, it depends on the spaces and how much possession you think you have and what you think you need physically and who your fullbacks are. I'm not saying no, but I think Mikel naturally is more conservative than that. So I doubt it. Prathu has become a new member. Thank you so much. We haven't done, Dane. We have not done the most important thing. We've not done the most important thing. Thank you for reminding me. Nearly forgot. How could I? How selfish. How foolish. Thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it. Oh, Raheem Sterling, first full 90 for Arsenal. I was wrong because the stats have proved it. 2 chances created, which was the most. 3 shots on target, the most. 6 successful take-ons, which was the most. 7 duels won, which was the most. 14 touches in the opposition box, the most. Yeah, absolutely. I think he had a lot of on-ball. What's the word? Influence. But the question is, what is that? What's the influence leading to? Where is it going? I don't think it was particularly efficient because of the things that I said. Let's come to this with Scott Willis, who's given us the beautiful statisticians. No, that's not the phrase. Oh my goodness me, I've just noticed the field tilt. 1.8 expected goals to their 0.7, 18 shots to their 7, 9 shots on target with a post-shot XG of 3.2. PPDA down at 6.9. Their PPDA was 37. Interesting. Our progressive passes were at 47. Theirs was at 14. Zone 14 touches 22 to their 3. Deep touches 55 to their 15. There's the running XG numbers. I suspect that was the Sterling chance at the end. Can't remember that chance. Maybe Ethan? No, Ethan's might have been that one. I don't know. Maybe someone tell me what you think that chance was. There's a running XG. There's the shot map data. I think you can see a lot of heaviness from Ethan and the sort of the right-hand side in this area. Probably Sterling before we switch over to the other side. Guys, our work's done. Our work is done. We are elite. It's really incredible. It's really incredible. It's a thing of beauty. I'm gonna get that framed. People are always saying to me, "You need to spruce up your background." I'm just gonna get the word "field" and the word "tilt" next to me. That's it. People in the chat with some interesting comments. Right, let's do 2 more. 2. Is that a record field tilt? What's our most? Can someone find out our most ever field tilt in a game? That's got to be up there, surely. That is gorgeous. That's going on my wall. That really is. Full tilt, as Dane Howard says. Let's look at the other results and then also look at... let's look at some other results and then let's finish off for this evening because it's only Preston, isn't it? Come on. Okay, let me show my screen. Other results this evening were Brighton 2, Liverpool 3. Arne Slot continuing his good start to life at Liverpool. Villa 1, Palace 2. Interesting. Manchester United 5, Leicester City 2. Wow. They're back. Rude is at the wheel. I wonder how much they're going to overreact to that. Newcastle 2, Chelsea 0. Wow. Who scored in that game? Isak and Disasi. Interesting. Okay. Preston North End 0, Arsenal 3. And the best result of the evening, Spurs 2, Man City 1. Where was that in May? You pricks. Where was that in May? Or might have been April. Anyway, thank you all. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate you all being here. We're back for an instant reaction after the Newcastle game. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. There's a data pod coming out on the Cannon podcast later on in the week. First data pod, which is going to be a monthly thing, so make sure you check that out. That's hopefully going to be as interactive as we can get it to be with you guys. So that's amazing. I think that's it in terms of housekeeping. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for watching, and thanks for keeping it Arsenal. Peace.